From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the business of esports. From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports podcast. I am Paul Dewalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, the Honorable Judge Jimmy Barada. For those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome to the official podcast of esports. What we do here is we cover the most pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week, but we look at all of it through a business and C-suite lens. We dissect, we analyze the business implications of everything happening in this industry. For those of you who are coming back, for our regular listeners, thank you guys for tuning in every week. Thank you for all the love, the 5-star ratings and reviews. If you haven't yet, please go subscribe to the podcast. At the very least, hit the subscribe button on whatever podcast app you use. If you watch it, subscribe to us on YouTube. But maybe even more important, tell your friends and family about the podcast, your colleagues, share it, spread it around. And if you love it, leave that 5-star rating and review. It helps others to find the podcast. Jimmy the Judge, how you doing this week?
Hey, Paul. Hey, listeners. Having a great week. Happy everyone is here joining us. And, if you missed last week's episode, welcome to the start of our programming for 2022. It's pretty exciting. And I can't believe we're already a week in, honestly. It seems like I blinked and we're already here.
We're closing in. I think we may have passed it already. So I'm almost embarrassed to say this. We're closing in on 250 episodes total for Business of Esports. If you count what used to be the after show, now is the weekly news show and the main podcast. And so that's a major, I think, benchmark, accomplishment, hurdle, whatever you want to call it, Jimmy. And I just want to say, I got in the mail, it was this total surprise from my good friend and co-host here, a jersey, which, I don't know if you can see it, it says the Esports Prophet. And the best part is on the side, you've got our Meta TV branding. I'm terrible at modeling here, and Business of Esports on the other side. But I got all excited when I saw this. I may have to wear this every time. It may stink by the time, we're at podcast 1,000. But
I'm sure they're machine washable. You're welcome. I just want to give a big shout out and thank you also to Jeff and Jackie Schechter from True Digital who helped us design that, and amazing fully customizable jerseys and apparel, and it looks great on you, Paul. I'm glad it fits, and I was really impressed by it. I'm super happy and gonna have to get one for myself now, honestly.
I was gonna say, this kind of not. We need the Judge in animated form here if we're gonna make this happen.
All kinds of BOE apparel and merch coming your way soon. I got the socks on, harder to see, when we live stream, but yeah.
It is a good reminder, actually. If people, although you can't buy this jersey, I know how anyone watching is just desperate to go buy this jersey, but you can go buy other Business of Esports merch at businessofesports.shop. So definitely go check that out. We do have a lot of fun socks there. You know what else we have this week, Jimmy? We have an awesome guest.
We sure do.
And you know what I love is the variety of the guests we get on this show, from whether it's like software or platform or hardware or in this case, something completely different entirely, even though 100% gaming related. I just love the variety of the guests we have on the show. And I've been so excited to have today's guest on. I know we've been talking for so long, and today we have none other than Josh Otero, who is the CEO and founder of NutriGMR. Josh, welcome to the Business of Esports podcast.
Well, thank you both for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited.
It's a long time coming, Josh. So for those who, and I know you've been a long time listener of the podcast, but for those who don't know about you or what you're doing at NutriGMR, would love for you to give our audience a bit of your background, how you got into gaming, why you got into gaming, what you guys are doing at NutriGMR. I just think it's such a great story. Would love for our audience to hear it.
Absolutely. And I got to say that, the Business of Esports was the first esports podcast that I listened to. I think Chris Smith was the second, but you guys were the first the esports podcast that I listened to. So, and I started a while ago, as you guys know. So I'm excited to be here. So yeah, Josh Otero. I'm the co-founder and CEO of NutriGMR. So NutriGMR is a cognitive performance drink that was really developed because my co-founder was working with esport athletes and developing a high performance program for them. And he saw that there was a need for a healthy drink alternative because most of them were drinking an energy drink, but inside that energy drink, they were actually putting water in there because they noticed when they were drinking 2 or 3 of these a day, it was affecting their performance. So they kept saying, "Doc, what should we be drinking?" And he really couldn't find anything. So he called me up, and this was now probably about 4 years ago. "Hey, Josh, we got to get into the gaming and esports space, and there's a huge opportunity because it's the fastest growing sport in the world, and this was even as of probably 3 years ago it was, and they're looking for healthy alternatives. There's a health and nutrition push." So we formed NutriGMR really with the intention of providing healthy alternatives to the traditional energy drink and nutrition space. So we really developed it using science, and we didn't want to add any of the garbage to it. So there's no sugars or artificial sweeteners. It's all natural, and it's really designed just to improve focus, concentration, and reaction time. So it was specifically designed for that cognitive athlete versus the traditional energy drink that just makes you all get the jitters and really not do anything, but maybe you want to go to the gym and work out. This is really to be engaged in the game, to maintain focus. And the more I started studying the market, I was just blown away because I was a gamer as a kid, right? I played Legend of Zelda, I played Super Mario Brothers. But my background is more in the health and fitness and sports performance space. So I was completely new to gaming as of 4 years ago, and really just 3 years ago. And then I just dove head first, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with just what everybody's doing these days, some of the games, how they interact, how they engage, the communities. And I just started studying these communities and really learning more and more about the actual athletes themselves, and was just blown away. I mean, these athletes are high performers, and I always talk about like a traditional athlete versus an esport athlete or a gamer. Well, in a cognitive level, they're at an esport athlete is performing higher than a traditional athlete from the cognitive standpoint, especially a traditional athlete. Maybe a quarterback's doing that high level, but they're engaged in the game for long periods of time. So this is amazing. And just the communities that are built around this are fascinating. So one of the things that kind of spun up from this is I'm also a big supporter of the military. And so I saw this connection because, I do a lot of work in the mental health space. And I saw this connection where the gaming market and the esport market, there's some need for some mental health, especially since COVID hit. There's a lot of mental health issues. And then there's some toxicity in gaming that we're trying to address. So there's issues that I saw arising, and especially I saw a really acceleration with COVID. So back in November of 2020, I created a foundation called the Warrior Gamer Foundation, and it's spelled Warrior GMR Foundation, just like NutriGMR, but it's obviously pronounced gamer. And what the idea with that is really I wanted to connect two different communities and have a similar interest. Everybody that's in the military that's under 40 is gaming. Most people are gaming. So why not take these two communities and pair them together with the idea of creating an intergenerational play where a vet or an active duty could have fun and they can engage with a gamer. Well, that's going to teach gamers leadership skills, resiliency, different skills that they may not be taught just on Discord or wherever. And it's going to give these military members, especially the vets, a purpose. They're having fun. They're getting involved in a community, and they're playing. So to me, it was like the best of both worlds. Like I'm helping two communities I absolutely love. And so I started the Warrior Gamer Foundation. We've been, we held our first events, an all military event in August of last year. We had all the branches of the military there. We played Rocket League. It was the first ever all branch military event, and it went off amazingly to the fact that we're doing 3 of them this year. And then we're inviting outside teams, so not just military members, but we're going to have outside teams as well. And, the idea is to have fun, have a little competition, but also really bring together different communities and with a focus on mental health and community. And obviously NutriGMR comes in there because we're providing a solution to that nutrition side, but the foundation is really building that sense of community, that sense of purpose, really helping people become happy and give them something to do versus potentially, negative things. So that's kind of how I got started in the industry, is really that my co-founder, but then I've just, like I said, I fell in love with it, and it really hits all my buttons. And, being in the background that I have in the sports performance and health and wellness, it was a no-brainer for me. So yeah, there's some amazing things happening, and I'm just excited that, I could be helping to spearhead some of these initiatives.
Josh, I love the story so much, and especially love what you're trying to do with the foundation, because I agree those are issues that gaming can really address, and love the connection to NutriGMR. But let me just sort of touch on the military thing for a second, because that is a fascinating tie-in for me, and I want to sort of ask a broader business question around it, which is, what in your mind is the focus or target for NutriGMR, right? Is it purely the top 1% of competitive gamers? Is it anyone who plays competitive games of all kind? Is the ambition to be the size of like a Mountain Dew one day? So that's the first part. And the second part is just the military tie-in here. Like, one of my favorite guests of all time on the podcast was General Muth, who's now, retired from the military. But a lot of the discussion we had with him was sort of like their holistic view around fitness as a soldier and as a gamer, right? And, it was all about healthy body, healthy mind. Like, I could see NutriGMR being, something consumed by soldiers for soldiering, not just for gaming. What is the target for you guys, and what is the ambition?
So the ambition's big. So yes, the ambition is to be, on the scale of a global consumer company like a Mountain Dew or something like that. But the reason behind that is because all of these drinks that you and I and Jimmy are talking about are really unhealthy typically. Majority of them have either high levels of artificial sugar and caffeine, or they have mass amounts of sugar. So if we could help steer that audience into something that's healthier. And so to answer your first question, it's the average gamer. We don't want to just be for the elite. The elite is going to use us in a more specific way to win, right? They're using us not necessarily for the health component, but they're using us for that improved focus and concentration. I want to be for that average gamer that's just looking to get a little bit better, but maybe their health is not the best, or they just, they've noticed their teeth or whatever, they have trouble sleeping, or they have mental health issues. And a lot of it is stemmed from overconsumption of sugary drinks and energy drinks and whatever else they're drinking. So we're built for the average gamer. Our cognitive performance level hits that 1%, that top 1%. But the way it tastes, the sour gummy, it's for the average gamer. So it's really built for that average gamer, because one of the problems that I came out to solve is health problems and all this pre-diabetes that all these people are getting. So you have minority populations that have mass, issues with pre-diabetes. And if you look at what they're drinking, it's Coke, Mountain Dew, and Pepsi. So if we could steer them a little bit to something that still tastes good, but it's healthy for them, they don't care about the performance aspect, but it tastes good and it doesn't have all the other artificial stuff that goes out. So that's what I'm on a mission to do, is to build that community and to really expand the message so they see, okay, maybe I shouldn't be drinking this energy drink. Maybe I should replace it with this. And it still gives me the same effect, but maybe not to the same extreme. But my teeth aren't rotting. I'm not gaining mass weight. I'm not having depression. I'm not having sleep issues. So it's going to solve all those just simply by replacing what you're putting in your mouth. And then to the second question, this is very much applicable for the military. And we do see it, and we're currently in conversations with the multiple branches for that purpose. Because yes, as an operator, as a soldier, as a Marine, whatever branch you're in, you're looking, there's a very popular energy drink they all drink. There's mass amounts of caffeine. There's mass amounts of sugar in it. So this is what we're hoping to put in there as a healthy alternative. You have somebody that's, deployed in Afghanistan, Iraq, or wherever, carrying a box of this is much easier than having cans or whatever. So it's easy to take, and it's healthy, and it's going to give them the performance, that advantage that they're looking for in a combat situation. Or again, if they're drone pilots or whatever, it's going to give them that focus and concentration that they're looking for, and it tastes good.
I have a couple of questions that build off of that, and I think those are really interesting points, especially the packaging in relation to the military. That was actually one of my questions, because Josh, you were so kind to send Paul and I, some of your product, and I was able to taste it and kind of get a feel for. I particularly enjoyed the watermelon flavor. From a business perspective, the packaging. The box, the vibrant colors, the small packs with the powder for individual mixtures. How do you make that choice? I understand for the military, right, in terms of maybe they're deployed, they have, limited space where they can carry this. They're not like in their kitchen like the average gamer is. But how do you make that choice with packaging for someone like the average gamer, where maybe it's cheaper to have a tub like protein powder? Not knocking at all, because I think it looks really great and it was so easy to use. I'm just curious, the financial considerations that you had to explore and what led you to making that decision for the packaging that you ended up with.
No, that's a good question, because we looked at, 3 different things. We looked at whether we're going to do like a can or some sort of thing, a tub, or the individual pack. The reason why we didn't do a can is because we thought, of a gamer going to a tournament, you're not going to take a 12 pack into your competition. You backpack. First of all, you wouldn't be able to get on an airplane. So
right.
That killed the ready to drink right away, because, we figure that's in the future we could build a ready to drink product. But if you're a gamer, any type of gamer, whether you're an elite or just a regular gamer, you're traveling, or you're hopefully going to be traveling again here this year, but you're traveling, you're not going to carry a 12 pack of NutriGMR in your pack. So that also went with the tub. Like, are you going to carry this big tub with you even a moderate tub, and it spills in your backpack and everything gets all over, or you have it in your desk and then it blows your desk up and your computer screen? So we're like, this was the easiest thing. And having these stick packs is, you could throw these in and just take them wherever. So it was for the convenience factor. It was really, if I'm putting myself at competitive athletes, I have a backpack. That's all I'm carrying when I go to a competition. So I need something that's easy and not going to blow up if the cap spills off. So that was really our impetus is to make it easy. And if they want to travel with it, it's easy to travel. If they just want to keep it in their kitchen and have one every morning, or for an elite esport athlete, there's 3 a day, but I just do 1. So we just wanted to make it easy and non-cumbersome and clean. So
it sounds like you prioritize the user experience. Yeah.
It's all about the user.
I assume it's a lot cheaper also to ship than someone paying like $50 to ship a 12 pack of cans, or right. You're talking a lot of weight and a lot of volume.
It's significantly cheaper to pack, and it's easier to make too, to fulfill. It's quicker. So there's multiple reasons on the cost factor as well in shipping.
Josh, I'm curious what you see as, because I think it's very obvious that the opportunity targeting gamers with a product like this, right, where it's healthier, it gives you a performance edge, like that hits a lot of very hot buttons in the gaming and esports space. And I think obviously the upside there is obvious, right? And you have a company like G Fuel, or right, that has quickly become $100 million plus company, whatever the private valuation is. Like, they're a large business now, very, very quickly. So the opportunity is very large. What do you see as the challenges in this market? Right? And I'll throw like one idea out there. Is it that you need a whole bunch of influencers to talk about your product? Like, what do you see as the challenges in the space?
So there's a couple. Well, there's a bunch. It's a very tough space to get into, especially with what we're doing. So first of all, you have a lot of companies that are trying to energy drinks that are just out there, right? Most of them are ready to drink, but you've got a lot of energy drinks that are coming in and going after specifically gamers, because they see this as a great opportunity. It's a demographic. So, and there's disposable income. So there's mass competition. That's why we kind of focused on the cognitive performance side versus the energy side, because in the energy side, I could probably name 20 different companies in the energy drink space. And that's just top. There's probably 50 total. So that's issue number one. And then that's kind of why I decided to do cognitive performance versus energy, because if I'm a cognitive athlete, I want cognitive performance. So, brain health, brain performance. Number two is money, because this is a very, cost intensive industry to get into. So money is a limiting factor, which then leads to the third one, which is the marketing and the influencers. Yes, it's to get to where G Fuel is, which is obviously my goal, right? We want to be a $100 million company. They've got mass distribution and the influencers, and they've done a really, really amazing job how they've built their platform, how they've built their influencer network. So I'm just trying to learn from people like them, but I'm taking it, slightly different, as we're wrapping it around health and wellness and mental health, because that's kind of our angle, right? I'm trying to get the ones that are interested in their health and wellness and mental health, maybe somebody that's suffered from suicide or depression. And so our message resonates with those people more than it does all of the other ones. So that's kind of how I'm starting it with our audiences. It's going to be smaller to start. Then that health and wellness, most people, especially after COVID, have suffered from either, depression, loneliness, isolation. There's been a significant increase in suicide. So that is kind of our angle, is really to talk to that market and give them the resources and tools that they need to improve themselves, not just from a gameplay, but from a personal standpoint as well. So that's our mission. I think is a little bit, well, not a little bit. I think it's higher from a global standpoint. And so my hope, and this is obviously only, right now this is only theory, is that the message will resonate with people, and they will want to be a part of our community. And then we build a community just like G Fuel did. So those are three of the biggest challenges that we face as a startup, consumer packaged goods company in the gaming space. With, I feel a bit advantage, but for startup, we don't have nowhere near the resources that a G Fuel or a Coke or a Pepsi has. So
is it fair to say? Sorry, Jimmy. No, I was just going to say, is it fair to say then, if you had the choice, right, and you want, you needed an influencer in the gaming space to be the face of the product, that you'd rather have like a huge Twitch streamer who's not a top level gamer, but maybe has struggled with some mental health issues, has taken the product, has seen the benefit, has felt the benefit, versus like having, Team Liquid or TSM say, we use this before every competition. Like, is the first sort of the more ideal for you guys from a competitive positioning standpoint?
I would say so. And just from where our mission is in general, like from a positioning standpoint, I think it would be better because it's going to come off more authentic. I don't want to come off as inauthentic in any way. And if we're just paying a bunch of people just to promote, that to me is not authentic. And I know the gaming space, like I said, I've only been in it for 3 years, but I know it pretty well. And if you're not authentic in your messaging, what you're doing, they're going to kick you out relatively quickly. So I don't want to come in and, hey, we have all this money, let's just sponsor every single athlete or TSM or whatever. If there's an athlete on TSM that's suffered from suicide, then all day long. But to your question, is the first person who's actually a Twitch streamer and they've had depression, they've had suicidal ideation, or they've tried it and somebody saved them, that's all day long. I would take that person any day over somebody that just is doing it because they want to get paid or whatever.
Jimmy, sorry.
Same topic. Honestly, I just wanted to dive into it a little deeper because I think it's really important for the listeners, especially ones that are growing new brands. You spoke a lot towards authenticity, Josh. I'm also curious as I suppose just the growing pains of cultivating these communities, the things that you notice that resonate with them, and how you're able, not just with healthy alternatives, but also, scaling your community through the military, for example. So I thought you had unique perspectives to offer with two different communities, albeit somewhat overlapping with your services and product with the two. But any struggles or insight that you can share with marketing, with growth, with like you said, that authentic voice that speaks towards that community or that demographic. Just kind of curious how you were able to successfully grow these market to and grow these communities.
Well, there's been a lot of struggles, and it's really, first it was finding the right message, right? Because our mission is simple, but then it's the message that resonates with the audience. And finally it was like, I think with COVID, really the mental health and some of the what we wanted to do really resonated with. So I think, the struggles are really connecting with that community and really finding what your niche is, or what that factor that they're going to resonates with them. And so that was one of the biggest challenges for us, is really, okay, we know all these things are happening. Which one really resonates most with them and what we're doing? And that, it was on mental health, health and fitness. It was all that really wrapped together in that messaging. And then it was just, okay, how do we tell that message? And we're still working on that, right? But we've had more success recently with that. And then people now are starting to come to us. I was always having to knock on people's doors, or, social media doors, and ask them. And now I get it's not a lot, but I'm getting 1 or 2 a week, people asking to what we're doing or want to be a part of it. So, it's going from 0 to 1 or 2 a week. I'll take any day. And then hopefully that scales up to 10, 20, 30, 100. So, like G Fuel probably has a million a week, so it was really, and then with the military, it was very much the same thing, but the foundation really helped open that door up, because otherwise I don't think we would have been able to do it without the foundation and that tie-in. And after they did that first event, I had all these kids coming up to me afterwards. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. This was bringing them together and having the fun, and then obviously talking about the message, because they're all drinking, Red Bulls or whatever they could find at the convenience store, and then explaining the message to them is then they see it, right? Because they're holding whatever can they're drinking that they just got from 7-Eleven, and they're saying this, oh, wow, okay, I'm kind of getting the difference between the two. So from that, it was just really being in front of them and giving them an experience. And that's what I want to give to all the gamers, is really an experience. And what, like you said, it's an experience when you see it, when you taste it, when you drink it. And then the biggest experience is feeling that little shift in your mind. And then it's, okay, I have health issues or weight issues or depression issues. This is just step one, right? And then, but if you just take one step, it opens up the door for multiple steps, right? It's taking that first step. And if it's putting that Sprite down or Coke and drinking this, well, that's your first step. And that gives them a little bit more confidence. And then they do something else. Oh, I just won, or I just had more kills than I normally have, or whatever game they're playing. I scored in Rocket League. Okay, great. I have never scored before. Well, that gives you another boost of confidence. So it takes them to that escalating, just that next step, because it's all micro steps, right? Everything's little. So that's all we're trying to do. And I think that's what helps build on to our message.
Josh, can we talk about, the hurdle always with anything where, part of the promise, I know it's not a promise, but part of the messaging is, this can improve your performance. Have you guys thought about doing sort of, not necessarily like full blown clinical study, but some kind of research to show, the direct sort of connection? Because you're going to get people who are going to try the product and see the benefit, and they're just early adopters, and they will try it pretty much because it's new and because it sounds interesting, right? Then you're going to get the ones who maybe come in through an influencer that tried your product, right? That it's a secondhand message, but they trust the influencer for whatever reason, and they'll try the product. But then I feel like there's a whole group that we'll call sort of skeptics, which is part of the hurdle. I feel like with any new consumer sort of focused product, which is how do you get them to try it, right? How do you get them over that first step? Because I think you have confidence in the product that once they try it, they'll stay customers. How do you get them over that hurdle? Like, have you guys thought about doing some kind of study that shows the connection between performance and NutriGMR, or are there other ideas? I'm just curious what you guys have sort of considered there.
So no, that's a great question. And, because we obviously, the professor who designed, I didn't design, I'm not a scientist. I had nothing to do with the actual design of the product. That was all based on my scientist, my co-founder. But, he he looked at clinical human trials when putting this together. But what we were wanting to do, and what we're going to do now, is get like 50 people that are all game and do a trial, like a pre and post. So that's actually, I got an email today on somebody that wanted me to do that. So that's literally something that's in the works, like starting today, from this morning, from an email from this morning, from somebody that is on our board that is taking it, really excited about it. But he said, we need 50. So yes, so I'm going to probably start to reach out to some people to try to get some people to be a part of the study, because yes, I think you're right. It's going to be people that are just early adopters, and there's going to be people that see it on somewhere, and they see their military person or their favorite streamer drinking it. And then that third piece is the people that, everybody says they do this or they do that.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. And then we do a study and we show them, oh no, here's 50 people in your peer group that all, 48 of the 50 saw improved results. So that's something that I'm like, literally, that was like the perfect timing for your question, because he sent me that email this morning.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking out loud how, potentially can go beyond that, right? Because I'm sure, part of the value proposition with NutriGMR is it's a much better, you should be substituting unhealthy drinks with NutriGMR, right? It's not in addition to. And so like, I feel like it would be relatively easy to just follow someone who used to drink, 5 Mountain Dews a week. If they swap it for 5 NutriGMRs a week, there's almost for sure going to be some weight loss over a certain period of time. I feel like that's, no one has really done that. Like G Fuel, we're big fans of, Cliff and what he's done there. He was our first guest ever on the podcast. So, and they were the first sponsors ever. And, we like the product and we like them. And they have this great sort of origin story of handing out G Fuel to people who are waiting in line for Call of Duty at midnight at GameStop. The world has changed a bit, and the world of gamer drinks is now more crowded than it was back then. But I think you guys have a real sort of differentiated product, right? This is very, very different from just about everything else that's out there. And in some ways that's the opportunity, but it also feels a bit like the challenge, right? Because now you need to convince people that this actually works.
100% it is. It's a great opportunity, but it's also a challenge, because they're like, oh, you guys are over here when everybody else is over here. Like, okay, tell me more, okay, I don't know what that means. So that's why I think doing like what you recommended or suggested, I think, and like I said, we're going to start to work on is absolutely important. So yeah, if you're interested, let me know, because I want, I'd like to get 50 people on this and just take them 30 days and just have them go through that experience, because it is. And if we had somebody that was used to be drinking 5 Mountain Dews and 50 pounds overweight and has some depression issues or whatever, I think in 30 days there's going to be some noticeable results and multiple factors in their lives. So yes, and then to your point, Paul, that's the stories too, right? We're going to get stories from that, because these people are going to start having these stories and, oh my gosh, I feel better. I sleep better. I lost, 10 pounds or whatever it is in a month. So yeah, I think to your point, this is for us to do. It's very important, and I'm going to do it.
Josh, just a bit of a pivot here. One of the recurring themes on this podcast is obviously talking about, like North America versus like the gaming opportunity in North America versus the gaming opportunity in China or Asia more broadly. How are you thinking about sort of North America versus the global opportunity? Are you focused only on North America right now? Like, I know this is a bit different because you're talking about a packaged good, you're talking about a drink. So how do you think about the North American versus the global opportunity?
So for 2022, we're focused on North America. And that's strictly because of it costs, money to be taking this global, but our global for 2023 and beyond, there is a big need. There's some Middle Eastern countries that have significant rates of diabetes and obesity and just overweight, over 50% of their populations are overweight. we've spoken to some of these countries, or not the actual heads of the countries, but like people that are working in the gaming space. There's a want for what we're doing. And I specifically know that in the Middle East, and then there's some in Europe, Western Europe, that are interested in what we're doing, because there's a demand for it. I've had a gentleman from India reach out to me. I know in India, gaming has become more popular. That's probably going to be in 2020. I mean, that's probably a significant investment on our part, but I see a huge. I think whatever we do in U.S. and North America could 5 times it globally, because there is now this this health and wellness trend that is 5 years behind the U.S. that is starting to come in, specifically. Like, I see this in the Middle East, and so that's probably one of the first areas that we'll be into is the Middle East, because those are who I've had more people from the Middle East approach me than any other country. That's just my experience. I could be completely wrong, but from what I'm seeing, there's a big need. And so, yes, I think this is a start, and then, but globally, I think there's a bigger than there is in the United States. Just we're local, and it's easier for us to start, where we're at.
So before you go global, what's a successful 2022 North American campaign and strategy for you? Is it just more events? Is it, converting more consumers at a favorable acquisition cost? Is it dominating mind share and just getting your brand out there where people start to think of you? What of those goals, or maybe something that I didn't mention, or your approach?
So, I mean, the first step is just brand recognition. So getting people to know us and who we are. So that would be number one, is just brand recognition. So people know who NutriGMR is, because right now I'd say 99% of people realistically do not know who NutriGMR is. So getting our word out and our brand, some brand recognition. Step 2 would then be market penetration, really being able to look at the effects on the market that we're doing. And then, step 3 would then be dominating a certain space, whether that's the military space or, whatever we decide, seeing the trends. But so it'd be just recognition, penetration. We want to really penetrate the market. And when I say the market, it's really that 18 to 36-year-old is our core demographic, high school kids too. But 18 to 36 is that core demographic. So really being able to enter that 18 to 36-year-old market. And then step 3 would then be, okay, we own the college market, or the League of Legends, or the Valorant, or the Rocket League, because they love our, when they're traveling to their different tournaments, they love what we're providing them. So I guess those probably to start would be the first 3 that I would say, among others, but those would probably be the first 3.
Josh, I just want to pivot a bit to the esports teams. We've had many on the show. We've heard many speak, conferences, things like that. A lot of them talk about health and wellness, especially these days, right? Almost every single big esports org has some kind of health and wellness initiative of some sort or partnership. I'm assuming you've spent a lot of time talking to these esports orgs, many of them, I assume, about NutriGMR. I'm curious to get your thoughts on if you feel like the health and wellness initiatives, and we obviously don't need to name names, but like, are they real? Are they sincere? Are they, genuinely thinking about health and wellness in the right way? Or could they be doing more, if I'm being sort of diplomatic here?
Yeah, and I won't name any names, because the reality is it's money. Money talks. So there's orgs that would want to use us if we had a bigger budget to pay them, but they're using somebody else because they have got a bigger budget. So that's a reality, right? So it comes down to dollars and cents. I do think, especially like, I'm thinking of 2 orgs specifically. They do have a very big interest in improving their athletes' health and wellness. And I've gotten, not a lot, but maybe a couple calls from the mental side, because now COVID's hit again, and so there's more isolation. So this is only a couple, so it's less than 5, but that have had reached out to me for some little health stuff. So I do think there are certain orgs that are very serious about the physical and mental health of their athletes. And then I think some are, there's a financial thing with teams, right? Because not all these teams are making a lot of money. So, and I get it. They want to be sustainable. They want to be able to, go to the next level. And these teams are not making the kind of money that we all think they might be. So dollars and cents, I think, are number one for the majority of them, is over health and wellness almost, which I don't want to say that, but I know they need to survive. So I think there is a push for it. I would like to see it bigger. But there is a small push, especially there's a big push in a few teams that are really focused on that. And then the others, I think they're just trying to take it to the next level so they have the money so they can invest in all this.
Is there a recognition you feel from some of them, maybe one of them, that, improving the health and wellness, and this is physical and mental health of their players, leads to better business outcomes? Like, do you feel like some of them understand this?
I know one in particular does, for sure. The others, I know one, they're 100% because there's stuff going on. And then there's one or two others that I believe are, and then the others, I think they haven't put that connection together yet. And it's obviously a healthier person is going to perform better. So there's very obvious results for somebody to invest in their performance and their mental health and physical health of their athletes. And I would bet you this year it's going to become more prominent because of this new, especially in LA, everybody's being, they're quarantining and they're shutting a lot of stuff down, and that's going to affect their mental health. So I would bet you this year, it's for the top 10 orgs, it's going to be, top 2 or 3 of their initiatives.
I guess that's, and Jimmy, unless you want to cut in here, that's sort of where I would love to sort of leave this, which is, what is that vision for this space, right? Call it the gamer drink kind of space, right? Like drinks targeted at gamers, whether they're for energy, whether they're for performance, whether they're just sugar water, right? Like, what does this ecosystem look like 5 years from now, right? Is it totally different? Is it, is everyone starting to think about performance 5 years from now? And we have Red Bull starting to add, vegetables to their stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but what is the 5 year in your mind sort of ecosystem look like?
So in my jaded mind, I would hope, so this is totally just Josh's wish. I would like to, and I would, if all this mental health stuff continues, I see the trend in 5 years of more companies falling on like what we're doing versus the other way around. I think people are looking at labels more. They're looking at results, and they're looking at what am I consuming? And so, and I really think it's just starting to happen over the last year or two. So I really think people are becoming label lookers. They're seeing the results. They're gaining weight, and they're trying to figure out, why am I doing this? So I really believe that some of the big players in the industry, like the Cokes and all that, they're going to have to switch. Or you see them buying companies like ours all the time because they see it. Maybe it's 10 years ago. It's in the next 5 to 10 years. My wish and hope is that we see this trend towards healthier drinks, whether it's the waters, the kind of performance drinks, or whatever it is. There's functional drinks all the time. So I believe that that's going to happen because I believe with everything going on in the world, people need to get healthier. There's more stress to deal with, and a better body. If I'm healthier, I'm going to be able to deal with that stress better. So I believe there's going to be the elevated stress levels and everything going on right now. I think there's going to be a push towards healthier drinks. I'd like to be one of those, alternatives that people are looking for. So yes, I believe that there's going to be a healthier swing towards, or a healthy swing versus going back to the sugar and the sugar waters and all that kind of stuff.
Josh, that's such a great way to sort of wrap up this podcast. I will say we have to do everyone's favorite new segment, though, before we let you go. And that is Judge Jimmy's cross-examination. For those of you who are new to the podcast, if you're listening to it for the first time, basically our own Honorable Judge Jimmy Barata is going to ask Josh a few questions about himself, rapid fire style, and hopefully get more insight into who Josh is. Judge Jimmy, take it away.
No one is safe, Josh. And actually, you did nail a couple of these just in passing in the interview, so I'm going to have to switch it up a little bit. Let's start with, what book would you recommend to anyone listening that left an impact on you?
Think Again by M. Grant.
Think Again. I'm going to write that for my own personal list.
Really
this
good.
is just for
James
me.
Clear from Atomic Habits and creating different habits. So I think those two are...
Fits with the product. Definitely fits with the product.
What is your favorite cuisine?
Wild salmon with risotto.
Oh, very specific.
Also very
solid.
Healthy. I'm seeing a theme here.
There's a trend. What is your social media platform of choice?
LinkedIn.
Solid.
It's really the only one I'm actually active on is LinkedIn.
You know, we're a business podcast when I feel like we've heard that answer at least a few times
more
now.
than the others. Well, there's Twitter, there's Instagram. We rarely get TikToks in here, but
I need to get TikTok. I just set up a TikTok account. I don't have any followers.
I have one. I never use it. I think you're good. All right, let's end with this one. What keeps you up at night?
That's a great question. I mean, really, it's from the business standpoint. Is are people really going to see what we see and what we, as the opportunity here, and really, are they truly interested in getting healthy? Because, my hope is that people see the opportunity, they want to get healthy, and they want to join our community, and they want to join our movement. So that's, that keeps me up is really making sure that I'm doing the right things on a day-to-day basis to share the message and hopefully build a community of people that want to improve their lives and get healthier and stop the energy drinks. So that keeps me up at night, because I really think, am I doing this? Did I do it right today? Did I do it right today? I do that every day. Just kind of reflect on, did I do the right things today to make a difference and make an impact?
Great answer.
Great answers, Josh. Well, I appreciate those. Paul, back to you. Prosecution rests.
Josh, for our audience, how can they, if you want to be followed, found, or NutriGMR wants to be followed or found, where can people find you, follow you, etc.?
So NutriGMR.com, it's NutriGMR.com, or WarriorGMRFoundation.org is the foundation. And then you could find me on LinkedIn under Josh Otero. And then our websites have links to all of our social media. We're just starting to really do some social media build out. So both Warrior Gamer Foundation and NutriGMR, you'll start to see more activity here over the next couple of weeks. So we're more active on Instagram. We have a TikTok, but I haven't used TikTok for any of the accounts yet. So we're going to start to do those. But Warrior Gamer Foundation.org, NutriGMR.com, or Josh Otero on LinkedIn.
I love that, Josh. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, and highly recommend everyone go check out NutriGMR. Really, really love what you guys are trying to do, and I love the mission. And I hope it's such a massive success, because I do think gamers need this. Really do need this. Guys, just a couple of reminders. We do a live stream every Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't come to check it out, it's all the news that doesn't make it into the podcast anymore. So it's a bigger cast, and the best part is we get to do it live with you guys. Definitely come check that out every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Also, make sure to follow us everywhere. Business of Esports on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're everywhere now. LinkedIn, you name it. Anywhere you get our content, make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever. We really appreciate it. And as always, Jimmy, thank you so much. Josh, thank you again. And we will see all of you guys.
Thank you, guys.